And actually, as he watched the way that John Huss was treated by the Roman Catholic Church, he actually came to sympathize with John Huss as against the church that he represented. Let me read about the conditions that John Huss was in because of the convictions of his conscience during the Middle Ages. This is on page 19 of this book. After a short while, Huss was let out of his dungeon into a decent chamber, but his feet almost refused to carry him. He swayed as he walked. Listless and unused to the day was the light of his eyes, deathly pale his cheeks, and loose what was left of his teeth, since 11 had fallen out due to the damp prison. The nails on his fingers were terribly long because he had been unable to bite them off for many weeks. Upon his skin was a crust of dirt which exuded an awful stench, and his otherwise brown hair fell in white ringlets upon his rotting and torn garb. This is an individual who belongs to the Roman Catholic papacy describing this. His shoes had rotted upon his feet, and his shirt and loincloth had vanished. The rounded flesh which had covered his bones had shrunken and shriveled, and he had become a picture of woe without equal, unrecognizable to those who had known him before. Horror filled those who looked upon him, and pitying people prepared a bath for him, brought shirts and clothing, and refreshed him with strengthening foods, for which he could only thank with tearful eyes. On page 28, we find this statement: with the clock striking 8 and the bells telling, the procession of bishops, cardinals, and fathers. See, they're taking him to his trial now, to his religious trial. Notice who he's appearing before. The procession of bishops, cardinals, and fathers and deputies moved toward the church, where a chair had been placed for Huss, about which the seats of the gentlemen were arranged. He was brought there for the convictions of his conscience. He had violated absolutely no civil laws. In fact, when they gave him an opportunity to speak, he said this: God gave to Peter, his disciple, and notice the terminology, very important, God gave to Peter, his disciple, the key to open all hearts and the heaven of faith with it, but not the sword. God gave Peter the what? He gave him the key to open hearts, but not the sword, to slay, as you slay, all those who do not accept your worldly doctrines and who evade them. Did he understand what the sword is? He most certainly understood what the sword was. He said, you haven't been given the sword. You've been given the key to open the heavenly kingdom. When the final vote was taken among the religious dignitaries, 31 votes were cast not guilty. 11 votes were cast for excommunication, and 45 votes were cast for death.